Vanguard for Transparent Leadership and Democracy, VATLAD, has urged the National Assembly and Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to stop instigating Nigerians against President Muhammadu Buhari. This was contained in a statement signed by the president of VATLAD, Comrade Igbini Emmanuel, and made available to our top source at the weekend in Abuja. According to him, having continued to carefully monitor the utterances and arguments of leadership and some members of the National Assembly, particularly those of the All Progressive Congress (APC) and the leadership of Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on the proposal to amend the Electoral Act to allow for imposition of only direct primaries on all political parties and the compulsory role of INEC to monitor all such primaries that would have huge financial implications on the nation, we are left to conclude without doubt that both leadership of NASS and INEC are deliberately misleading and instigating Nigerians against President Buhari to see him as the obstacle to the proposed amendments to the Electoral Act for credible elections. The fact and truth remain that by the relevant provisions of the Nigerian Constitution as amended, President Buhari has no strict obligation to assent to any bill passed by at least two-thirds majority of 469 members of the National Assembly. VATLAD maintained that President Buhari also has no constitutional power whatsoever to stop any proposed amendment to the Electoral Act passed by at least two-thirds majority of the 469 members of the National Assembly. Instead, the constitutional power to initiate, pass, and sign into law these proposed amendments to the Electoral Act is rightly vested in two-thirds majority members of the National Assembly, even without the assent of President Buhari. This is as aptly provided in Section 58 of the 1999 Nigerian Constitution as amended, particularly Sections 58, subsection 4 and 5, which state that where a bill is presented to the President of Nigeria for assent, he shall within 30 days thereof signify that he assents or that he withholds assent. Where the President withholds his assent and the bill is again passed by each house of the National Assembly by two-thirds majority, the bill shall become law and the assent of the President of Nigeria shall not be required. Why then should the leadership and at least the two-thirds majority of members of this 9th National Assembly be misleading Nigerians to believing that President Buhari must sign these proposed amendments to the Electoral Act before it can become law or an act of the National Assembly to be used in the conduct of the 2023 general elections to ensure truly free, fair, and credible elections, when it claims that over two-thirds majority of 469 members of the National Assembly passed these proposed amendment bills. We hasten to remind Nigerians that in June 2000, the National Assembly invoked its constitutional power under Section 58, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended to pass the NDC Establishment Bill into law, when then President Obasanjo, in opposing the bill, withheld his assent to it. So there is no basis for this 9th National Assembly to continue to claim that it is dependent on President Buhari for this bill to become law. As regards the attempt by INEC to continue to claim that it has obligation to monitor the primaries of political parties before the outcomes of such primaries can be valid and accepted for purposes of presenting candidates for general elections conducted by INEC, the group said it totally disagrees with INEC and strongly accused its leadership of continuing to deliberately waste scarce public funds in this regard and making itself a provocative interloper in the constitutional right of political parties to freely choose their candidates for elections in line with their constitutions. Is it not curious that the leadership of INEC continues to fail or refuse to carry out its constitutional duties in monitoring and ensuring that political parties comply strictly with sections 225 to 227 of the 1999 Nigeria Constitution as amended to compel political parties to fully disclose sources of their funds, internal or external, submit detailed annual statement and analysis of their sources of funds and other assets and statement of their expenditures, and to ensure that no political party engages in retaining, organizing, training, or equipping any person or group of persons as thugs for the purpose of enabling them to be employed to undermine the peace, security, and credibility of general elections, but only more interested in monitoring primaries and conventions of political parties which are the least relevant of issues INEC should monitor. The group questioned why is INEC so interested in monitoring party primaries if not to be given. The group questioned why is INEC so interested in monitoring party primaries if not to give room for its staff to extort from aspirants or political parties seeking to be validated by INEC. In conclusion from all the above, we reasonably suspect now that the sudden imposition of direct primaries on all political parties as the only method for choosing their candidates and for INEC to be the monitoring agent of this unconstitutional attempt is a deliberate plot to provoke President Buhari to withhold his assent to the passed bill on electronic transmission of election results from polling units to INEC central server, and also to instigate Nigerians against President Buhari as obstacle to free, fair, and credible elections and emergence of only proving incorruptible and patriotic Nigerians as elected leaders. Nigerians must therefore hold the National Assembly and the INEC solely responsible for failure to guarantee free, fair, and credible elections. We restate our earlier advice to President Buhari to assent only to electronic transmission of election results, but to reject the imposition of only direct primaries on all political parties, the statement said. My viewers, this is all we can take for now. Ensure you subscribe to our channel, make it support, spread the report to other news platforms, and bye for now. Do join us in the other news.